There's some news coming out of Las Vegas about interviews. Richie Bisaccia, how's your family? The man who was able to guide the Raiders to the playoffs amongst so much turmoil that you would think a team would have to call it quits. Richie Bisaccia had his interview today to potentially become the coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know what else this guy would have to fucking do in this meeting. I don't know what else he would have to say. I guess he would have to be on the same page with potentially the new GM that they're thinking about. What is Mark Davis doing? How do you think this whole thing went? Because I feel like his interview was literally, the last 10 weeks of the season for the Las Vegas Raiders. They saw him in meetings. They saw him in practices. They saw his messaging. They saw the outcome. What more could this interview potentially be? I'm not sure. There's now information being leaked that the absence of John Gruden is what made that team better. Richie Bisaccia was able to flourish and the team was able to go since John Gruden wasn't there. These are all anonymous sources. Who knows what anybody's saying? We didn't have Gruden grinding us late in the year. Gruden would kill us and we would fall apart. The reason this team played as well down the stretch is that Rich listened to the players and took it easy over the back half of the season. Now, people that are listening at home and saw that they didn't win or the Super Bowl and say these guys are soft, but having that connection with your players and being able to adapt is paramount in the relationship. And from all accounts, Richie Bisaccia and these players are tied at the hip. Who knows what the future looks like? I don't necessarily love that he had to sit down and do another interview, but I like that they're thinking about keeping him around, AJ.
I hope that they're serious about keeping him around and they're not just interviewing him just to say they did and to not feel bad about it. Like, his interview was the last 10 weeks of the season. Like, that's what they did. I'm sure he was in constant communication with the front office and Mark Davis and everybody else. So, yeah, I don't know. You would think by now they would know, but maybe they want to see what the other candidates are like. And if no one blows them away, then, hey, maybe old Richie gets it.
Yeah, they might be saying publicly, hey, we are interviewing Richie just to save face, for the fan base and the players that love him. A lot of players have come out and said, hey, we love this guy. We love this guy. There's anonymous PR people posting pictures of him writing handwritten letters after the game.
Yeah, who took that? Who took that pic?
Probably somebody that got fired at this point, I would assume. Somebody that is no longer with the Raiders put that out there, and I think they just kind of wanted to share their truth that this dude is the truth. Chuck, Richie Bisaccia is getting interviewed by the Raiders. 10 weeks he was the head coach. They saw him in meetings. They saw him in practices. They saw his messaging. They got a chance to see it. Now, Mayock's gone, obviously, so he was probably a little bit more around day-to-day than Davis was. Do you think this is just showcasing to the players and the fans, like, hey, we're giving him a shot? Or do you think Richie has a chance to really keep that job? Because it feels like everybody loves him over there, Chuck.
Yeah, everything you're hearing out of there sure seems to lean, towards Rich, and sometimes that can be good, and sometimes that can be, the owner Mark could take that as, I'm going to do what I want to do, and he's getting, all the players and everybody in the building, and everybody that knows Rich has probably reached out, on his behalf, but I think he's, more than earned an opportunity, to be the head football coach there. I mean, navigating the waters that he navigated through the, course of all the circumstances that happened there with John being let go and then Henry Ruggs' situation. And he's just done a phenomenal job. And, yeah, you hear a bunch of the players, Max Crosby, I think, was the last one that I read come out on Rich's behalf. Remember Mayock's not there anymore, but remember Mike said, this is probably the best leader when he first he said, this is one of the best leaders I've ever been around, leaders of men. And I think that's where everybody's missing the boat on these things, because you can hire offensive guys, defensive guys, special teams guys, but at the forefront, to face your franchise, I mean, you need a leader of men, a guy that can, obviously, lead that locker room and motivate guys and get guys to play for him, all that kind of things. And that team certainly did, especially down the stretch. So I think, Rich has paid his dues in this league for a long, long time. And we've seen, guys get opportunities and not do, a third or a quarter of what he's done to earn that, an opportunity to be the head coach there. And I think you do a great job. And plus, the turnover, hire a whole new staff, another offense, another defense, pay two staffs. A lot of those guys are under contract for a lot more years. So I don't know if I'd go down that road. I think they've seen enough there, at least from the outside looking at it. We don't know because we're not, in the building day to day, but you would certainly think that whatever you're hearing and what you saw on tape, and what you saw on, every week, throughout the remainder of that season when he got named the interim, that he's done a hell of a job.
So you think the Gabagool is potentially staying over there, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you can read into whatever you want to read into, with the Mayock, firing, and then, teams reached out and talked to some different guys and interviewed some different guys. Maybe they're just doing, their due diligence, and, maybe they have to follow the same protocols, as everybody else when you fire a football coach. Regardless whether you have an interim or not, you still got to go through a process.